Okay, hi everyone. Heath here again with another one of our tech talks. What we're going to be discussing today is one of the plugins in the C6 software called Fluid Mask. Just to give you some insight of where to find more information on this, you can always go to our support site. Let me go ahead and bring this up real quick. You can go to support.coldesi.com. Once you get to the main support page, click on Direct to Garment or Garment Printer Support, and then you'll have your RipPro support. All right, this is where all your RipPro subjects, such as like the manual, the download link, user's guide, all this is very valuable information that the more you know about how this software works, the more tools and things like that, the better results you'll get out and better output of your designs as well. Okay, so going through here, one of the ones that we're going to be discussing are these plugins. There are quite a few other plugins inside the RIP software, but the main one that a lot of people do not take advantage of is the Fluid Mask. So we're going to be discussing that today. Okay, so within here, let's go into our RIP software. All right, so inside the RIP software, let me maximize this to our page here.
So editing is all done now.
You can get to these plugins at any time from your drop-down menu. Let me actually go through. I'm going to remove some of these cues. All right, so we're going to go over here to a white shirt cue just for now. Let me clean some stuff up real quick. All right, so from here, I chose 3 images just from Google Images just to kind of play around with. From here, let me show you what they look like. So we have a baby squirrel, a leopard sitting on a log, and this hairy looking little spider. But with these Fluid Mask tools and stuff like that, that's what it is made for. It's able to crop these animals out of here and remove the backgrounds and still be able to get the detail of like the hair and stuff. So here, let's go into this real quick. We'll go ahead and just import this raw JPEG with no edits directly into to the RIP software real quick. So we'll take a look at that. Go to pictures, Fluid Mask. We'll do this little baby squirrel first. Okay, so once the job imports, then we can go through, we can take a look at it. I did not do any editing to this when it came in. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, I'm going to click on this little baby squirrel, it activates it, okay? And then I can come up here to my jobs drop-down menu. So this is where all my different little plugins are right here. So let's see, so we'll click on this. Now, let's see here. So these are grayed out for some reason. Why is that?
And then under here, this one here.
Well, hold on a second.
This is your underline, this is your position. And we are going to use the fixed soft. Rarely do I got to go to the computer. Really all right. So let's do it again. Now we have, now you select the object.
I'm not sure why these are not active right now. Let's see.
Now we go to the next color. Create. That's going to be the
I have to update my license file. Hold on 1 second.
And then we go to Smart Design again, and we choose Pattern.
Just 1 second here. Yeah, a lot of times if your security key becomes deactivated from the computer or it loses connection, sometimes you have to restart the program. So we'll do that real quick. It always happens when you're on video. Never fails.
Smart design. Yeah. You see the repetition of the movements you got to make? They're repetitive.
So we'll go back to that white shirt. Here we go.
Yeah, but the more and more you do it, you
Let's see.
This first, that second, that third, that fourth. So I chose the color, chose the object, chose the stitches, and then I go ahead and set my densities both countries.
This one.
So do the repetitive nature. Yep. Yeah. Let me do it again. Let me do it again. Let me just select the blue. It's repetitive, so you're going to get it in memory quick. Okay, it's not like a different step every time with different objects. Okay. So we already created the Yeah, we already corrected this. So what we do is we choose.
Well, for some reason, my security key is not allowing me to access these plugins. So just give me 2 seconds. I will be right back, guys. Okay, guys, sorry about that. Technical difficulties here. Hold on 1 second. Switch out my keys.
All those parts of the embroidery. Step number 4 is saving it. So we go to File. Oh, yeah. Finishing and design. Finishing and design, yeah. So in the embroidery tab, if you go, your last step. Even if I set my start and end points and I go and change something about, I still got to go and
okay. So now we're back to.
So I change. Yeah, I set my start.
All right. So we'll go ahead and import our
start at first section. Yeah, you got it. First section. And then I choose again, and then choose endpoint.
Oh, that's a JPEG. That's why it's doing that. So let's go right sure. There we go. Okay, so we'll right-click on the image and go to Edit with Fluid Mask.
File. And I always save twice. I always save the DSG file.
It'll be a standalone program. Once it opens up, it'll scan your image here. And then we've got to decide some different stuff. So you can buy the full version of the Fluid Mask, which would be a standalone program directly from Vertis, which is the company that makes it. If you are a graphic designer, this is a very valuable program to have for what you see, kind of what it does and things like that. But for just basic photo editing, this little plugin works great for that result. Okay, so what you're seeing here is it segregates the image into little sections of color and stuff like that. You can turn these show object edges off. Okay, so the things that we're going to get, we're going to try to crop this out and get all this little hair and remove the background at the same time. So this would be a really difficult job to do just using Photoshop by itself. Okay, so looking at this is you have 3 separate types of tools, or actually 4, all right? So you have a keep, you have a delete, you have a blend, and you have an erase, okay? So self-explanatory. Keep, those are when you paint something with green, that means you're going to keep that in the design. Deleting, self-explanatory. Blend is around those edges where you can get like the hairs and stuff like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go around and do a blended edge around this thing, see if we can get these little hairs in here, around here, and then delete all the background around it and keep what's inside. So that way it will crop it out for us. Okay, so let's get into this. So you have 2 different rows here. You have an exact tool, so that way when you draw something, it draws an exact line. You have an area fill, so it'll grab multiple pieces of color that are within its tolerance range. Okay? So you go through just like that if I wanted to, or I'm going to do it in a different fashion. So what we're going to do is revert this back to the beginning. I'm hitting Control-Z. A lot of the same hotkeys that are in Photoshop work inside here as well. The hotkeys will be listed over here to this side. So if you notice, like Control-Z is undo, Control-Y is redo, those type of things. All right. So let's go in here. We're going to use our exact brush tool. I can use the bracket keys that are right above my enter key on my keyboard to make the brush smaller or bigger, or I can do it by number or by size right here as well. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into this, and I'll show you kind of what it's capable of. Some of the basic settings that you have will be over here on the side, like your edge finding and your edge blending. If you put your mouse over certain tools, it'll give you what they are. Okay. Like edge blending, I put my mouse over there, it gives me a description of what it is. Also, if I go over edge like finding and stuff, then it can give me those tools as well. Okay. So, number of edges. This is have fewer edges, so it can be tighter. Okay. And then I can hit apply. And then also I have my blend mask, so I can have a medium, thin, or thick. And that's where if I do a keep, it's automatically going to do a blend right on the edge. So what I like to do is I'm going to go to like a medium, and I'm going to do it more of a smart filter than a feather. Okay. So let's just get into this thing, and we're going to start outlining. So we'll start down here at the feet, so we can zoom in. I was using the plus and minus key on my keyboard to do that. All right, so what we're going to do, you don't have to be neat, you don't have to do it all in one shot, but you want to encompass the things that you want to remove the background around. So as you notice, I'm going out to the tips of the hair, but I'm not going into the body where it's solid. And then I can hold my space bar to move around and move the screen around. All right, so when I have background, that's where I want to use my blend tool. So I'm going to get all of this right in here and just painting right over top of it. Okay. And then what the smart filters do is basically do contrasting colors. It analyzes it. They figured out a nice little algorithm that can separate the colors and stuff like that. All right, so we'll get in here.
And then you do step one, which is save it.
And you notice that the more solid areas that it doesn't have backgrounds behind it, I'm not painting over those as much.
Well, the difference is
so normally I would have to sit there and get in and try to sit there and kind of fade these edges in, but it kind of takes away from the actual fur of the squirrel itself. So this is why we're going through and doing it with a fluid mask.
Edit my design down to whatever the customer wants. Here we go to save.
Okay, so now we're getting in here.
Export, it's saving it in a format that the machine needs. The machine can't read a DSG file. It needs a DSG.
Looks like I missed a little bit of hair right there.
Essentially saving twice.
Keep going around here.
Files as a DSG first. And then you go back and export.
And then I can go in a little bit tighter.
Export embroidery design files.
Get it right around the edges here. And then for these little hairs, I'm definitely going to make my brush smaller. And just go right over top of that.
She can't read it, so that will go under your USB. This needle's not
these hairs right here.
It's red and blue, not red and green. So it's just what it is, just lined up my colors up at the top.
Alright.
Yes, you can. Yeah. A lot of people don't do that only because all it does is gives you the ability to send it to the machine. You still got to get up out of your barcode line and set all the color changes and all that stuff. So, yeah. So people just say what they do is they create.
So in comparison to the amount of time that you would spend trying to crop and get off these exact little pixels here, this program more than pays for itself. Okay, I think that'll be the last few.
Any thumb drive. You have about 4 gigabytes of it. As a matter of fact, one 4 gigabyte thumb drive will last you for years.
Edge here.
This file.
Make this brush a little bit smaller because there's not that much of a blended edge right here. We're just trying to get the background to go away. And then we'll get more detailed as we can do edits after the fact as well. All right.
You see right here on the file, you click on this icon right here.
Make this brush a lot smaller.
Right there. Yeah, right. See this little icon right here? That opens up a new design page.
Get in here, get these little hairs. Cute little baby squirrel. Maybe brush a little bit bigger. So you notice I wasn't really that neat going around there. Okay, so now we get to go through and we're going to use our remove tool. Let's back out of this a little bit to see what we're working with. So I've encompassed our little squirrel now with our blend tools. So now I'm going to go with the area fill. So that way when I paint over these things, it's going to give me a, it's just going to fill in these areas. So as I notice, I have check marks that I can put in here. So if I try to click here, it will protect the blend that I already did. So that way I can just kind of go right around the edge here and still tuck into the blue as long as I don't go onto the opposite side of it. Then it's going to grab everything that I need and protect the stuff that's on the inside. So we'll just paint over this.
It's a flat image. What you got to do, you got to clean this image first. Okay? There's a lot of colors in here.
All right.
You see.
So it looks like I got a little piece in there. So let's go Control Z.
Right. And
get into these areas right here.
There we go. So the first thing we do, we click on the image. So now we're step 2. We edit our image. This is part of editing. So we click on it, and then we go to Layout. And then in the layout, we have this color reduction.
Oops. A little bit too far there. We'll zoom in a little bit so I can get a little bit more detail in here.
Two colors, the white background and the black. And then we get
that brush smaller.
And that cleans up the image pretty nice. So you can see the now what we got to do is convert it to the right amount. Oh, next thing we got to do is size it, okay? Right now, this image is 1.36
coming together here,
and half an inch tall. What's the dimensions you want this to be?
So then I don't really have to go through and protect the blend or the delete portions because I have an autofill feature, which is also awesome. Okay, so let's back out of this a little bit. Then we'll come up here to our image drop-down menu and go to auto fill image for keep. So there we go. So now we're going to click on our transform button. And it's going to create our cutout. So as you can see, it has deleted that background. If I want to kind of see what the background looks in a different color, say like on a blue background, click OK. So it does have a little bit of a faded edge there, but if I was printing this onto a dark shirt, it would actually show up a little bit better. So let's see. We might be able to adjust these edges a little bit better. So we'll go back to our workspace that we were working with. So it looks like I got a couple little spaces down here. So let's see. Let's go down here to zoom. So I see that I missed a little dot there and a middle dot right there. So I need to get those off. And I might need to do a little bit more editing up inside here. Alright, so if I want to do that, like I could go into my eraser tool, erase this portions off.
So autocomplete will see all that.
Let's see if I can get this with a small enough brush.
So if I click on
do that, and then go back over here to my area fill, keep blend.
And then there's switches. Then I click on this. And this could be a different color.
Alright, so I got rid of those.
Maybe I'll make this blue.
Then I could probably go back in and edit even further, get some more blends, tighten these up where it's not as thick of a blend mode. And then let's go ahead and click there. So it's definitely getting those little hairs and stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm an Eagles fan.
Let's see. Let's go on to our next one. Well, let's sit here and finish this by going to save and apply.
Click on it and then we hit enter. And then we'll do this blue.
Okay. So as you can see here, we got our cropped out little squirrel. We might have to do a little bit more editing to the fur around the edges, maybe soften those up a little bit, things like that. But you kind of see how powerful of a tool this is. But then let's say I still want to add more to this, then I can right click on it and move it out to Photoshop. Let's see here. Jobs. Let's go into send to Photoshop. I'm going to supersize the image. All right, so we'll take this up to 300 dpi. Oops, I went a little bit too high. Hold on a second, it should be still there.
Selected, and I'm going to go to my custom. And I'm going to let, I'll probably go soft. Just a center line. It's not really wide. I believe it's exact.
Okay, my shirt. There we are.
And then our pole compensation, we're going to go a little bit big on this, okay? So we're going to go to like a 10% proportion. Crop means proportional, fix, of course, you know, that's for fill stitches. And pattern stitches. We're going to go to 10%.
I have to get in touch with somebody about this. All right, so normally you would be able to send this directly out to Photoshop, but I'm going to edit it in GIMP, which is like a standard, it's like a Photoshop program that we've integrated into the RIP software. If you do not have Photoshop, it has basically all the main tools that Photoshop has, and you can do simple programming.
I'm not using a soft flow because I'm getting with a force.
Yeah, you do.
Bigger designs. I'm going to go 15 on this because it's already narrow and I want to bump it out a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to go 15 so it really looks good.
Yeah, GIMP is a basic graphic image manipulation program. That's what it stands for.
Soft. I can do soft low on this one here, but it's a small piece of the object.
Okay, so now I have my image here, and then I can do some editing to it if I needed to. Let's see. Let's go minimize this a little quick.
Is that what? Nice. And there we go. I'm going to turn off the auxiliary, which is the graphic image, so we're just looking at the design. We can go to 3D.
Hi, Sally. This is Matthew with ColDesi. I just received your video. Hopefully, we can probably do like a web chat thing. So
okay, so now we have our layers here.
I'll put my eyes on the machine with you.
We'll create a new layer.
Steps, and then I can determine if, what I need to do to get that corrected for you. So yeah, I'll go ahead and send you an email. Just reply when you're ready, and I will try.
All right, let's see here. New layer. That's fine. That's okay. And then I'm going to drag this one below this one. All right. So this one that's here, the bottom layer. And then I'm going to paint bucket fill it with, say, black.
I would do the eye, the blue part of the eyes all fill, and this instead, you want this to pop, the green, right?
All right, so this is what it would look like on a dark shirt. Okay, so a nice clean image and everything like that. If I wanted to fade the edges a little bit more, I could come in with my eraser tool, kind of fade that, soften it, maybe even darken some of those pixels up around here. Clean up some of these little areas up in here, but yeah. But that's what you kind of get with using the fluid mask. You kind of go through and you have to but it does get these little hairs and everything like that that make it definitely usable. All right, so let's go on to our next one. Let me just discard all this. All right, and then we'll show you another example as well, where we can integrate this into other stuff.
And then when we right
I'm going to edit this one in Fluid Mask. I'm going to see where y'all can go through and edit these things to be able to crop out. And that way you can integrate these things into other images. Okay, so let's go through. We're going to do this one a little bit different. We'll do the blends for like the hairs sticking up right through here. But we're going to do a nice tight edge with just the keep tool going around here to select this little leopard out. All right, so let's go in. Let's zoom in a little bit. All right, since we don't need that much of a blend around the edges here, we're going to do more of a fine blend mode. And we'll do a nice little feather. We'll do it about 1 to 1. How about that? Come around here, zoom in a little bit more.
It's a simulated vector, so it's not even a vector file. You have to convert to.
So then what we're going to do is just try to be accurate with it and not go outside the lines too much. You know, we get it just to the inside here, and it's going to like feather it right out to the edge, so that way it helps it soften it.
The way you plan out what to create first, so you have the correct layering.
And like I said, you don't have to do it all in one piece.
The gray, all this blue in here, right? And maybe this would be fill. This part of the white would be fill. This would be fill.
Once you get up in here,
this would be satin, right? And then I would do satin stitches here. And satin stitches on the border with all this being a satin stitch. Okay.
So I'm going to go up on the body here, and then I'll come back to do the blend. All right, so with the blend tool here, it's going to protect the keep, and it's going to protect other blends. So let's make this brush smaller.
And then you're going to use the pattern.
Right
now, what I want you to do, you see where the pattern stitch is right here? Before you do anything, change the color underneath that little block.
All right, so we got those.
Change it to the color you want there.
We'll go back to the keep. If I hit the K on my keyboard, it'll go right back to that keep tool. If I hit the D, it'll go to delete,
set your density,
and B for blend.
Hit the escape button.
Okay.
Good. Now, change your density to 5.85 stitches per millimeter. Yeah, do all this first.
And then what we can do with this leopard after we can integrate it into another image and kind of make it look. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to take this little leopard that we're cropping out here. I'm going to put it on top of another logo. I'm going to do it on top of the DTG logo. All right, so from here, I'm going to stop it at this point. We're going to do a blend right here on this edge. So make this a little bit bigger.
No, you click on custom and click on the word custom. You're on stitch grading.
Go back to keep.
There we go. So
excellent. Yeah. Now, what's the I still have a question. What's on those all those machines that have M origin issues? What's that thing with the replace on them? The sensor for the M origin?
Does anybody have any questions as of right now?
Sure.
If so, just go ahead and fill those out in that questions field, and then I can touch base on those as of right.
So it's that zero plate detection.
Okay. Let's see what we got. So I'm going around the edge here.
The medium low you would use at this image is smaller.
Yeah, if you had like a Wacom tablet with a drawing pin, this would probably be a lot more accurate as well. You probably get really tight spacing and stuff like that.
Now, click on Auto and the digitizing methods. Click on the drop down for Auto and you choose Auto Complete and Magic Wand the first blue area.
Okay.
And then
yeah, once you get on these ones that aren't blending, they go a little bit faster. And this should be pretty neat looking when we're done with it.
And now change the zero
Right now? No. Zero position of detection. Yep.
You got it. Now choose a medium.
Oh, it's a long ass tail.
And then click on the area.
All right. I'm going to crop that off so I can, oop, no, not. But it's in the keep, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just going right over top of
now
that.
what I want you to do is, no.
Realize how long this tail was.
Oh, that's right.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to round this tail off and omit some of this other stuff in there so it looks like the tail is correct.
Sure.
I'm just using the ruler on the mouse now.
Yeah, once I hit enter, you got stitches in there? Okay, good. Now,
really
what I want you to do is close that automatic tracing box, because it's hiding your next click. And you see select objects? click on it so you can drop your gradation tool. Good. Deselect your graph.
Okay, let's go back to the blend tool, because I want to get this hair right in here a little bit better.
So deselect, it's no longer
Brandon
selected.
shot a ColDesi.
Now I want you to
Right,
change
how would
your
you
steps. That's stop.
She said, so this
I
would
want you
be
to
some
go to
burning
burning area.
juice.
Because now you're going to do all
Alright,
these
so
things.
then once I get back in there, go back to the keep tool, it's more of a tighter edge.
Click on that, and then you're going to choose area with zigzag.
Okay.
Set your color to green.
I miss a little bit, just paint right over top of it.
I know when I was talking to Cindy the other day.
Not yet, we're going to set
Yeah,
green
she wasn't
first.
sure either.
All right. That's 5.5 stitches per millimeter. No, only 5.851 fill stitches.
Alright.
Okay.
Enter, and then go to custom over at the compensation. You're going to choose zigzag, medium color, just medium. Yeah, because it's a wider part. The eye is kind of wider.
The other leg hanging down
Full
back here in the
compensation
back.
proportional, probably 10%. That's good. Go to autocomplete.
Right there with,
So you get
is
the
that
magic
right there with
wand.
the
Now
trim
click on the
sensor part,
eyeball,
or the wiper sensor, the wiper.
and hit enter.
Alright.
Now all you gotta do is
Yeah,
click on
yeah,
the
I think
color,
she's in your
change it to
picture,
white. I want you to go to your custom,
Okay.
the compensation, and I want you to choose medium high, because look how wide the fence is going to be.
Yeah,
And
that's the
then
sensor
choose your
part, right?
compensation. I want you to set it to about 15. We need it to be wide.
Alright.
Okay.
All right, now you can click on the. I'm going to click on the inside.
And just to repeat this, we are working with fluid
Yeah,
mask
it's-
right
it's
now
probably the same part,
to
but it's
create
connected to
or
another
to
part.
crop out
No, yeah, right.
animals sitting on a log, a little leopard
All right.
or jaguar or whatever it may be, and we're going to place it on top of another logo. But by cropping it out, this is a tool that's built into the RIP software that basically helps us crop out in a very professional way
Is it when the wiper's down or the
with
wiper's?
minimal labor time involved.
Yeah, undo. Control Z.
Alright,
All right, so that's got to be out of.
Okay, now.
alright, so let's zoom back out. Looks like we've got most everything in there.
Maybe 5.
Alright, so then we're going to do our removal tool, just like before.
Now click right in the center of the outline. Right in the center. Always
Okay.
click on the center of your color. See how you're choosing the outline?
We're just
The
going to
outside.
paint right over this
Exactly,
sucker.
exactly.
So you only want to choose.
And we're going to protect keep as well. Let me hit Control C on this.
Okay.
Forgot about that. So that way, if I go over top of any of the green parts, it doesn't lose my work.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, please.
yeah. It's
Get
actually
right up there close to it.
Let me do that. Let me do that.
So let's zoom in here a little bit more to get to the edges.
So, what I want to do is I'm gonna click right in the middle of the white. I can still select it.
I like that little piece right there.
Let me figure this out.
Let's do an eraser tool.
Let's help it along a little bit. Let's turn off our embroidery.
With the last part, right? The last bag?
Okay. Let's click on this.
So then I'll do the
See, the background
inker.
is trapped with the white.
Right there.
Even though it's
There we
transparent,
go.
we're not seeing it as transparent.
So if I go around the edge, and as long as I have that protect keep on there, get right up here to the edge, I won't miss anything.
First thing we're gonna do is count it.
pretty loud. And it's not the trimmers, it's actually that wiper that's on that silver bar right behind the head.
The transparent color is going to be the black.
Alright, so now I'll make the brush bigger for these areas.
Correct.
Right, there it is. Hit return.
Uh-huh.
We should just, that background should be gone.
Oh,
So
I can now see it on the picture she sent me.
when we click
Now that you said
on
that, I can see it.
embroidery,
Alright.
we choose turning area.
It's hidden behind it.
Big tab. And then when we on this thing, it should only choose the white now because we got rid of the background color.
Yeah.
Love the undo button.
That looks the same. It was
All right, almost done.
All right, yeah. I can imagine, yeah.
Usually at this point here, I'll go to select
I know
object.
you guys are
Okay?
smart.
I always, whenever I'm done creating, I always click on the select object. Okay, so I can click on things. Turn on the
I do the
tree.
Janus
I'm gonna look at my extensions.
else I could do it.
I don't think so, because you're not needing it anymore. Oh my God, we forgot to click on it.
I'll get around
See,
this
by
edge
doing
here as
that, we
best
should
as
be
I
moving around.
can.
But there's one other thing you want
Right.
to do too,
Okay,
is change
bar
your
that,
direction.
you know the bar?
And then
I
fill
don't
in
know
the middle
what
as
the
we
bar
go.
is. The one to the right that has the pulley going
So you
straight
see
up.
this yellow line
It has
that's
the
going
arch on
across
it.
it?
On that one that's attached to the silver
Change the
bar,
tempo.
right, that Allen screw.
Bump it up, and that'll make the stitches kind of fill down, go downwards a little bit. You'll see that take place. It refracts light better. It also makes the design so a lot smoother. This one is there.
Right.
Where it is? Here it is, right here.
All right, that was smooth. Okay, let's make our brush bigger. Zoom back out.
All right, and then we'll click on this one. Do the same thing. There it is, right here.
Okay.
There we go. Now we can turn back on our auxiliary.
So if you like loosen that one Allen screw
And
and push
so
it
we can
up,
see
so
these
it's back,
objects.
instead of like a 45-degree angle, it's now like a 50-degree angle. Will it go down? So it does still doesn't go down to that light
Yeah,
person.
we're gonna have to
Yeah,
get
you
closer.
use the right fill. I mean, the right stitch, right?
Right, well, I mean, you know, most machines out there are about the same, so.
Make sure that this is going to be,
Okay.
Well, because it's wide.
Pick up on it.
And
Definitely,
it's not
definitely.
complete. After you select your first object, you see the dotted lines around it. You can hold the control button and add
Right,
this one to
real
it.
quick, let me do two things. Let me send
So
you,
you're doing both.
I'm gonna show you, show
All
me.
right, getting there, getting there. Almost done here.
Okay, I'll send it to her. Let me run to my showroom, look at my machine, do a couple of trims and see where mine's
Turn off
located,
the
try and see
auxiliary
make
and
sure
you
it's
check
matched
it.
up to that where it doesn't hit.
Now, the last step I will do.
So I got 15
Let's
minutes.
see, we got that little tail sticking out right there. So let's see.
You won't
Let's
see
go
it
to
on the
eraser.
screen like you see here,
We'll just go boom,
but when you go
and
to
then we'll go back to this.
and you go to simulation,
Okay, cool. So let's see what we're working with
this
so
is how
far.
it's truly going to sell out.
So I've got a little thin little blend edge, so we'll hit transform. Oops, I forgot to do the autofill keep, which was kind of neat. Got rid of some spots in there. So let's go back to the workspace, and then we just have to go to image, autofill keep. There we go. Now we'll do the trim out. There we go. Okay, so now we've got our leopard just laying in midair. All right, so let's go ahead and hit save and apply.
You don't see it here.
All right, let's see if it'll allow me to send this out again. Send to Photoshop. So once it goes back over to Photoshop, now I have my exact image here. Let's bring in our, let's say the DTG logo. So we'll go up here, open. We'll use this Chrome DTG logo. All right, so now we have this. Let me turn my guides off. All right, get Photoshop so y'all can see it all on the screen here. There we go. Okay, so we're going to add that leopard to the top of this logo. All right. So right now this is a smart object. Okay, smart objects are basically they keep their resolution when you import them into other files. So let's move this one over here, and we'll just drop it right on top of it as a smart object. All right, so we'll close this. All right, so let's zoom out of this real quick. Let's make our canvas a lot bigger so we can accomplish this thing. And we'll build this as we go. Okay, so we'll hit there. All right, let's see what this actual image resolution of this particular image is right now. It's only 72. So we'll take this up to 300. But it made the file size huge because the width and height are really big. So we'll take it down to like 12 inches. Takes it down to 32, so that'll be fine.
One of the tricks I do
Okay. So now our leopard's high res as well. All right, so let's see what it would look like on a black background. So we'll go ahead and add in a solid color, black. Okay, we'll drag that color fill to the bottom. So now we have this. Okay, so now let's move some stuff around here. Here's a little leopard. Here's our little DTG logo. We're going to have to make the DTG bigger. So let's see. We'll hit Control T to transform. No matter what size I stretch it out, it's going to keep that original 300 dpi of the original picture. See? So that it stays nice and crisp. All right. So then we're going to take this guy, and we're going to put him right up here on top of this thing. So, but we're going to drag this logo below this one. All right. So it looks like I'm going to have to do a little bit of editing here. And erase some of the stuff like the underneath leg here. He shouldn't be, that one shouldn't be there. I probably should have cropped that one out. All right, so from here, we can just go in. I'll use my eraser tool. Brush on there. So I have it set for a low hardness, so I'm going to take that back up to about, say, 60. So it does somewhat of a faded edge. Not enough where it's going to mess up my design. Okay. Let's zoom back out here. Number one. All right, so it doesn't look very natural sitting on there. So let's see if we can add like a drop shadow to it. All right, so that makes it seem like it's sitting up on top of it. Maybe not need to be that big of a size. I won't unhook the shirt. Okay, you're gonna put your vinyl on. Okay. And the distance. And then you would just begin to settle. I can change the light angle. But what I'll do is I'll click on this. All right, that looks pretty neat. What's called a pan search, okay? And we are using smart. Okay. So now we've got a nice little logo with a leopard sitting on top of it. Let's see. Move that around a little bit. This will put a little outline of where that goes, so I know everything's going to line up. All right. So now we'll zoom back out, save the screen. I'll hit image trim. Okay. There we go. So now we're going to look at this a little bit closer to see. So right now this thing is about 10.5 inches wide, and it's still nice and high res. All right. So any questions on that so far? Just for Keith that you just added in, saw that you probably just getting in here, but we've been going through using the Fluid Mask plugin inside the RIP software to be able to crop things out of photos. So I'm going to use one more example, and then we'll probably call it a day on this. If you definitely want some more like extended like tutorials and stuff like that on Fluid Mask, if you go in here to just YouTube, okay, when you go to YouTube, just type in Fluid Mask. And these are the tutorials are from the actual company that makes those. So it teaches you how to get rid of hair, being able to keep smoke in a design with removing the background. Yeah. All kinds of good stuff. And it tells you just little techniques and stuff like that of how to use it to get the best results. So definitely, if you get a chance, go through these tutorials. They really make a difference, okay? There's one that we did a couple weeks ago on how to use it as well. So, all right, so let's go back in here. We'll use our last image. We'll go ahead and take a photo. Well, let's go ahead and open it up in Photoshop here. Alright, so we got Fluid Mask. I'm going to look at this hairy spider.
Just didn't know if we had.
All right, so with this, let me show you the difficulty of being able to remove these backgrounds without creating like higher level masking and stuff like that. So you have tools like the magic wand, but you notice it still leaves those colors inside there. Like it doesn't get the hairs as well as it should. Okay, so that's why this would be the perfect image for doing something like this on fluid mask. Not to say that anybody would really want a hairy spider on their shirt, but okay. So let's see what image size this is first. So the image size is 72. I'm going to take it up to 300. Okay, and that makes it 114 megabytes. So it really doesn't need to be that wide. We're not going to be printing that big either. So just by reducing it to 12 inches, took it down to 23 megabytes. So it's just less information for the RIP software to process. Okay, so nice and high res. We'll go ahead and hit save here. So the only thing I did, I'm going to take this up to maximum. The only thing I did was just change the resolution up to 300 dpi and the size down to 12 inches. Okay, so we'll go ahead and let's zoom back out. I'll leave this original right here just so we can see it later. We'll go ahead and import that same raw JPEG right into the RIP software. You didn't technically need to edit any of it, but this just gives you a good opportunity to see it better and get a little bit higher res. All right, so we'll edit in fluid mask. Okay, so now we got our creepy little spider here. All right, so now with our creepy little spider, we're going to crop him out and be able to capture these little hairs and stuff in here. All right, so definitely going to use that blend tool. All right, and we're going to go around this and we're going to do it as best as we can. All right, so get these little areas with hair.
That's a very good. That's you which if they listen to 2 screws, that'll help save.
Okay, you notice I'm not being that pretty. I'm not going up each individual hair. I am lazy. We'll see how good it does. Alright. Okay, a little bit more over here. Alright. So we'll go around the edges here.
Exactly. Yeah. Sorry.
See how much of this hair we can actually get out of this. It should be contrasting enough with the background that we should be able to get a really good mask out of this.
All right, I appreciate it.
I do not want to see this up close in real life. Imagine this thing crawling up you. Alright, for all of those who still have arachnophobia, I apologize. Alright, so from here, I'm going to do my little keep tool because I have my protect blend on here. Alright, so I'm going to get these little areas up in here.
Excuse me. Okay, so the first one is gray.
Let's go back to blend.
The second one is
Alright. Let's see. This brush a little bit smaller. Notice I'm keeping the blend tool on the outside whenever there's background involved. If there's background behind where the blend is, that's what I'm trying to remove.
Randy?
no, I want this to go first, okay?
All right. Okay, on the machine.
So
This should be interesting whether it can be able to crop this one out as well as I think it should be able to.
Do me a favor and
so it shows
the arrow screw on the bottom that holds it to the silver bar, just loosen it and just push the angle up just.
Alright, well this is about as good of an example as I can get about how well and how powerful this tool is, the fluid mask. It's built within the C6 software.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's going to do the outline. Right. You pull the hoop off, put your little vinyl on it.
Right up in here.
Put your hoop back on. The first thing it's going to do is going to sew this gray piece right over here. And then it's going to then the green.
All right. I got what you. She's going to see if we can get some out of
the white beak. And then the green.
She's checking on a few things.
Okay. And then it goes to the rest of the white.
I went to mine and it just, it missed it, but it's by a couple of millimeters.
Yeah, I don't know how these guys came up with the program to be able to like intelligently be able to detect colors, like background colors, and be able to remove this stuff as easily as it does.
Right.
Let's see.
I may decide to, after the gray,
now this portion back over here is going to be a little bit more difficult. Let's see if we can make it around here. Just this little bitty blend.
Then it's going to color change to whatever needle gray's on. And then it's going to color change to the green.
So I'm going to go right around the edge here. Just a little bit on, a little bit off. And hopefully it'll get the background right. It'll be kind of faded anyway.
There you go. No problem, no problem. Yeah, just
okay, so got all that.
yeah, absolutely.
Alright, we gotta get in here.
Over time.
Never thought I'd have so much fun tracing a spider.
All right, let me, like I said, I emailed that.
So I'm gonna go to our
sheet
tools. Okay, so let's see here. Let's back this out a little bit. Let's make this brush bigger.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, I forgot one thing. I can do a keep tool right down here. Alright. Now when I click delete, let's get into these little small areas first.
Yeah.
Then you check that. Yeah, you check that.
Control Z.
All right, let me get with her.
Keep, protect, blend.
The scenario of it, and see what we see after. Yes. Okay.
All right. So.
So 4:30. Okay, perfect.
I think you'll be fine. I think now that you got it, you're on the 4 steps that you got to do. It's just doing them over and over and over again. You know what I mean?
Okay, then I'll get with her and see if we can get some a little bit faster. You're welcome. All right, bye.
Okay, so what you do, right? Nice. Well, I mean, what I would do with that is this, okay?
Okay, we're almost done here. And we'll do that autofill key.
I'm just gonna click on the outline. Right click. And I'm gonna go to convert. Okay. This is going to be just for rhinestone. Okay? So I'm going to turn off the embroidery now.
Okay.
There's my vector, so I'm going to click on the vector.
All right, almost done here.
This is solid object, okay? With this, I'm going to do what's called a contour offset.
There's little areas out in here in left field. See if I missed any little spots. And then we'll do the autofill keep. There we go. Let's see what the background will look with a black background. And then we'll click on cut. And boom. Let's see, that is a creepy looking little spider. Let's see what it looks like on a lighter background. Let's go with like a gray. Okay. That's what it'll look like on a gray background. So it did a nice little cropping job on it and everything like that. So let's hit save and apply.
Go ahead when you're available. Send me a message.
Once it finishes its editing phase, removes the background out of it completely. All right. So let's see. Let's go ahead and send to Photoshop. We can compare it to the original. There's a creepy looking little spider. Now I probably could go in there and edit it a little bit more, get that blend a little bit tighter. But I think it'll be all right. I mean, this would be definitely printable. Let's go down here to the black. And then if I wanted to, let's go to Eraser Tool. Make the brush bigger. Actually, let's go to, there's another cool little turn called the Burn Tool. All right, what that does is darken stuff. So every time I click around these edges, I can darken those little areas up and kind of fade that edge a little bit better.
Okay, on one side of that nose to the other side. Okay.
So that way it's not as bright around these corners and stuff. Okay. So any questions so far with kind of how I approach this and why we would use these tools or anything like that? If you want to, go ahead and fill that out in that questions field, and I'll touch base on that. If you want some more just detailed attention on like what this stuff is doing and how to use it, or if you want just like a basic one-on-one tutorial on this, definitely create a call in the support queue, and I can get back in touch with you shortly, and we can go through this a little bit more detailed. Or if you have a specific image you want to play with or something to that order. All right. So yeah, all kinds of creepy little things you can do with the Rip software. So this was our little tech talk on just kind of showing examples of how to use the Fluid Mask tool. It is a very fun little plugin to play around with. Definitely check out some of the other plugins like the Fluid, Knock Me Out Black, Knock Me Out Colors, those type of things where you can actually remove solid backgrounds from artwork too. So yeah, definitely touch back with us, and if you need some more detailed instructions or information, create a call in our support ticket system, and we'd be happy to help you out. I hope you'll have a great day, and see you next Tech Talk. Bye-bye.